What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So, Survivor Season 49, Episode 5 is here. We're here to recap it. Now, last week, if you do remember, obviously we had a tribe get down to 2 tribe members in Sophie and Alex, so did a little switch up. Now we went from 3 tribes down to 2 tribes, and with the tribe divisions and everything, when you do switch tribes, we had the tribe, Matt and Jason were on the bottom of their tribe. Matt ended up going home over Jason, so Jason's still kind of left at the bottom of his tribe, but it's a new episode, it's a new day on Survivor, so we'll see what kind of opportunities Jason can make for himself here going into this episode and moving forward into this game. But before we jump into this episode, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there. We'll have more Survivor content on the channel, so just make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video. Now, back at the Yellow Beach, Jason is appreciative to be able to live another day in this game, but knows that the tribal lines have not been dissolved, as they were the only 2 members from their old tribe, in terms of him and Matt. They were the only 2 members from his old tribe, and they were the only 2 people to get votes from everyone else. Savannah feels in a good alliance in the majority. They got someone from the old tribe out and simply sees Jason, has got to go in terms of getting an old Hina or old Hina member out, should I say. And, she says that they're the ones that kind of started this rivalry. Anyway, they were always chanting, coming into challenges and whatnot, kind of starting to create this divide that was leading up to kind of this war that was starting to brew between the 2 tribes. But meanwhile, over at the other beach, Shannon feels like she's in self-preservation mode, but says to Steven early in the morning that, wants to create an alliance to have 2 players from each of the original tribes. To have a core 6, throwback to a couple seasons ago, and Q, part of that whole alliance, if you remember that season, Q and Tiffany and Charlie, Maria, and I forget who the other 2 members were, but that alliance did not go well. We'll see how this alliance goes for Shannon. But this is a very early. Sun's not even up. Steven's like, I know we don't have coffee, but can I at least have a cup of coffee instead of being like smacked right in the face with all this talk first thing in the morning? But I guess you always got to be ready on Survivor. But Shannon brings in Alex to this conversation as well. Says she'd be willing to vote out Sage, which we kind of got that sense last episode as well. But Steven talks with MC about this. They've obviously had a good connection so far on the show, or on the season, should I say. And about this plan and how, Shannon's a good talker. And she kind of disarms you with the way that she talks and is definitely playing this game hard. But Christina also realizes Shannon is playing this game really hard, but does have a good connection with her and wants to work with her, but has to, play with her gut and not her emotions, as she says. But back over at the Hina Yellow Beach, Jason knows that he's in a tough spot, but says that he's going to try to break through those tribal lines, form personal connections. And one personal connection he actually does form with is Jawan. Sticks out as someone that he connects with. And Jawan's open to working together in the future, but obviously the way that the hand that Jason and Matt really were both dealt, but now Jason the only one being left in the game of them 2, the way the tribe switch up worked, they were both kind of dealt a tough hand. And, Jawan knows that, but saying he's open if things happen and they get through, essentially. Savannah is getting annoyed with Jawan, though, and this is dating back to him using her bag to go search for firewood and, idle hunt, whatever, too, getting her bag all dirty. Now using her water bottle, too, by accident. She doesn't think it's by accident, I don't think, but back over at the Blue Beach, Sage, she's Shannon doing her thing and laying it on thick, as she says, and she's says that Shannon is trying to pull a Parvati on Alex. But Steven and Alex are talking and realize that Shannon's talking and saying this stuff to everyone. And Sage overhears them sitting at the camp and is like, I feel so left out. So they come over and kind of talk to her. They include her on the conversation. And she does kind of get the sense that they see that Shannon is kind of acting like this with everyone. And she's like, thank you. And they were like, oh, have you seen this whole time? She's like, yes, this is how she is. And, essentially Sage has described Shannon a couple times now as a shark. So they kind of have a conversation about that. And they tell her that Shannon says that she's open to voting out Sage. So there you go. That kind of opens that Pandora's box. But both show up. Time for a journey. MC offers to go for the blue tribe. The yellow tribe draws rocks because they don't want Jason to go to get something. So Jawan puts the rocks together and kind of rigs it. There was, one white rock that person was going to go. He made sure to put that on the top and had Nate pick first. He got the white rock and gets to go, so it's not Jason. But get to the journey. Both must work together to move sandbags, and if you don't do it, you lose your vote. So they get to going. MC is killing it, and Nate's trying to use this as a bonding moment too, and also kind of try to pass the time. Some people like to just head down, keep it going. Others like, all right, let's talk, like get our mind off of it, like go. So that's the approach that he's taking, and MC's like, I can't breathe, but is enjoying the conversation. But there's a note kind of at the bottom of the pile. There was, I don't know, Nate was describing like 100, bags at this, probably somewhere around there. But there's a note at the bottom of the pile, and hidden under a rock near a tree nearby is an advantage. And if one person gets it, the other one must finish the sandbags in order to keep their vote. And then that person that finds it obviously keeps their vote, plus gets the advantage. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure how clear that part is, but that's what I'm assuming as well. But Nate pitches that because he's like, I don't know if I can keep up, and MC's been killing all this. She'll probably kill finding the advantage as well. But Nate pitches to work on the sandbags till there's one left, and then go to look for the advantage. So then that way they can both keep their vote. Well, they do that, and then they're looking, and Nate realizes that he's not going to find it. So he kind of calls her back, even with quite a bit of time left on the hourglass, and they end up ending it. MC's like, I just couldn't think straight, like, does he have a hidden agenda? But she's like, I don't know, my mind can't really work right now. So they do end up ending the challenge. And listen, again, MC killed this challenge, and she's been killing challenges all season. She does open up about being bullied as a kid for, body image, and opens up about how she's glad that she didn't let bullies, take that moment from her, because, she did that. She absolutely killed that challenge. And Nate even said it while they were doing it, like, we chose to kind of go at like a moderately, not a slow pace, not a fast pace, but kind of like a moderate pace. But MC is just like her moderate pace. She was killing it. Nate, shouted that out during the challenge as well. And yes, she's been killing it all season long in these challenges and in this game as a whole. So, always like to shout out and thanks to MC for sharing that and opening up about something personal like that in your life. Obviously, always, enjoy hearing those stories of triumph here on Survivor, because that's what Survivor's about. But we're back at camp, and MC tells them the story about the journey, everything. Correct. Sage tells the group when Shannon gets up and walks away that Rizzo has the Beware advantage to try to form some connection with them and trust. She's ready to work with them moving forward. And MC even says that, she's the one who got the Beware advantage on her beach, so she knows that Sage is telling the truth here, and shows that she wants to work with us and makes them more inclined to work with Sage instead of Shannon. And then Shannon doesn't feel like Sage is being strategic. They kind of have a talk as the two members from their old tribe, but little does she know about the conversation she had just a couple minutes ago when she got up and walked off and left her and the rest of the group there. But Nate tells the group back at his camp about what happened on the journey, but does leave out the part about the possibility of finding an advantage. Savannah and Sophie having a convo, and Jawan kind of comes up, lays on the daybed or the bed as well to listen, and Savannah is kind of annoyed at this point, like, just wanting to, as she says, kind of listen to every single conversation she's having, even if it's not gameplay related. Like they were talking about, I think Savannah was asking Sophie, like, oh, what is your boyfriend doing right now? Or what do you think your boyfriend's doing right now? And like, life stuff that I imagine you talk about a lot during the downtime when you don't have to strategize, at a certain point. So she's annoyed to even the point of like that she's willing to write his name down. And we head to the immunity challenge. It's a reward as well. 4 chickens, 1 rooster, 3 egg laying hens. Christina sits out, and we get on with the challenge. Blue wins immunity and reward. Yellow back to tribal council again. Jeff does prop everyone out because he says this has been one of, if not the hottest times that he ever remembers being on Survivor. And this was a massive challenge that took a lot. We saw it in the challenge on TV as well, for Jeff to prop them out as well. Shout out to all of them. But this is a pivotal tribal council coming up. But before we head to get to that decision, head to the winning tribe's beach. And Alex and Steven are the ones that kill the chicken. They know that they need to do this, but they're the ones that stomach it. And, it is kind of rough on everyone. Like, yeah, you think about it. I forget who said it. I think it might have been Alex that said it. Like, yeah, like, we eat chicken every day, but you don't think of the thing of actually, going through the process of getting to that chicken. But they go through it as well, Alex and Steven. And then they're able to fuel up after a very rough challenge that day, get some protein in them. But Over at the Yellow Tribe, Sophie is essentially out of gas. She's gone to every single tribal council, hasn't really had any food besides coconuts and whatnot that's out there. So the plan is Jason, but wants to make sure he doesn't play a shot in the dark. So they send Jawan to keep him comfortable. Savannah doesn't want the old tribe thinking, the other tribe, should I say, of the old tribal lines, thinking that they're just targeting their whole tribe and doesn't want this. She even kind of explains to Jason, like, I don't want this to be 6v6. If I wanted to play a game like that, I would just stay at home and play basketball. Like, tells him to use his ability to be the thread connecting the two tribes. And with Savannah talking about that, she's, kind of hinting at the possibility of maybe voting out Jawan. Nate's open to work with Jason as well, which works for Savannah because she didn't want to be the one to take control of this vote right now. So we head to tribal council. Everyone is talking about how gassed they are and how tough it has been so far this season. Jason still feels on the outs but wants to go out fighting. Jawan sees himself kind of cut from the same cloth as Jason as well and feels that he might be at the bottom as well, dating back to, kind of the old tribal lines the first couple days of the season as well. But Sophie leaves us going into the vote with who's going to drown and who's going to float. Well, we get to the vote and Jason does end up going home. Jason threw his vote at Rizzo. He kind of mentioned that as well during the period before tribal council, but really tough hand for him. Really, him and Matt were dealt. He was an alternate on this season as well. So shout out to Jason. Tough hand was dealt, but he unfortunately goes home. But next week, it looks like possibly new tribes again. It looked like they had 3 tribes possibly running that challenge as well. It was kind of just a quick shot, but a chicken on the loose as well. But anyway, we're heating up, probably approaching in the next episode or 2, approaching about the halfway point, probably getting a merge here in the next couple episodes. Have to imagine maybe 2 or 3 more episodes before we get a merge. But yeah, we're approaching the halfway point. Been a fun season so far, in my opinion. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.